Alright guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So today, I am in Tanimachi in Osaka in Japan, and we're going to have a little look at this place behind me. So this place is Brewpub Tetard Vallee, and this is somewhere I've wanted to come for quite some time actually. A very, very small scale brewery, and they're just doing some really interesting beers actually. So we'll do as we always do, we'll go in, we'll have a little look around, we'll try some of the beers, we might try some of the food as well, and there will be a special guest in this video too, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Catch you guys in just a second and we'll do our little walk around. I hope you enjoy this one. Alright guys, well this is the outside of Brewpub Tetard Vallee in Tanimachi. You can see this sign here, but the closest metro stations down there you have Tanimachi Yonchome, and up there you have Tenma Bashi. So those are the two closest stations, both on the purple line, the Tanimachi line, which makes sense with the name of the place. But yeah, outside you can see you've got the signs here, you can see the sort of symbol there, Tanimachi Brewpub Tetard, then your little welcome sign, and yeah, biru and meat, which is always good. And there's the little sign there. Lovely door on this one. But yeah, if you come in, this is a really, really nice looking pub, I have to say. So yeah, you can see the bars over here where they do the kitchen and things. You've got these lovely sort of tree cutting tables up here, and then up there obviously you have the little brew room. The brew room is right here. So yeah, we also have a special guest in this video. We've obviously been here a little while and we've done a bit of filming and things already at the time of this. But you'll know this guy. This is Jordan from Outsider Inside Japan.
Inside Outsider.
Inside Outsider Inside Japan.
Inside Outsider in Japan.
Yeah, I always mess up at Jordan's channel name.
Should I shorten that? I've been thinking recently.
We'll talk about that once we've had a few more beers. Let's do that. But yeah, you'll see Jordan in a tasting video I think later on. There we go. Alright guys, well time for our first tasting then here at Brewpub Tetard Vallee in Osaka. So yeah, they have a few interesting things on tap here, styles that you really don't come across all that often. But you know, as we always do in these videos, we want to start with something lighter and something a bit more drinkable. And they have a few smash beers actually. I count 3 actually on the menu. And yeah, the one that was recommended to us was this one here with Galaxy Hop. So this one comes in at 5.1% ABV. I'm guessing that stylistically it's probably going to be some, you can probably argue that it's a pale ale, but you can see lovely pale golden, sort of golden yellow colour to this one. When it came out, it had maybe, you know, about a half finger of a frothy, kind of cream coloured head there. A little bit of natural haze to it, so obviously unfiltered. But yeah, this is obviously a very, very small scale brewery. I think their beers are pretty much only sold here. They do have a few bottles actually as well. So yeah, but yeah, for me, this one looks pretty nice actually. I'm more curious about this one. Galaxy as a hop we know quite well too. This one is Australian, 14% alpha acid. It's going to give you quite a lot of passion fruit, quite a lot of like mango and pineapple and stuff like this too. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the nose of this beer and see how we go. That smells really nice. It does smell very, very good. I'm actually having to kind of hug the wall here because, you know, in Japan not so much space, so yeah, filming kind of against the wall at the moment, which is that's kind of how it goes sometimes. It's always interesting to film in situations like this. But yeah, the nose on this beer is really nice actually. I mean, I'm guessing it's just going to be some sort of pale malt or two-row malt or something like that that's in here. So you've got a lovely backbone of like fresh white bready bread crust. There's a little bit of cracker in here. There's a very slight touch of woodiness, but lots of white bread. It has a little touch of sweetness to it as well, this one, you know, a wee tiny hint of like caramel, McVitie's digestive biscuit, something like that. Yeah, I don't know if there's too much else to say about the malt base on this one, and with a smash beer, you would expect that, to be honest with you. Yeah, it smells pretty good actually. In terms of the green component with this one, there's a very, very slight earthiness to it. That's not something you would expect from Galaxy. You know, Galaxy is normally, its green component is normally quite floral or quite piney and stuff. But yeah, for me, lots of floral aromaticity here. Good little bit of grassiness as well. I think there is a little bit of early edition hopping with this one, not just late edition and dry hopping. So it might have a wee bit of bitterness. And then your fruity side of the beer is, as you would expect, you've got passion fruit, you've got mango, you've got some pineapple and things. Yeah, some really interesting stuff in here actually. I really like how this, how the aroma of this one goes together. Pineapple, apricot, mangoes, passion fruit, all of these sorts of things. Yeah, smells like a really nice beer, this one. I think all that's left to do is to try this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is simply called Smash, 5.1% ABV. The guy told me it is Galaxy hop. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one. Slanja, Kampai. Oh yeah, it's some sort of cross between like an English pale ale and an American pale ale. It's like somewhere in the middle. Obviously you could argue it's an Australian pale ale because it's using Galaxy hops. But yeah, we shouldn't really put the beers in, you don't have to box beers in a style. This is really cool. I mean, I wonder if this is using US 05 yeast as well, because there's something very familiar about the kind of breadiness and the sort of yeasty character in this beer. I really do like how all of that goes together actually. So yeah, something just very, very familiar about this beer. Very bready, very smooth, slightly grainy, and nice fruity pale ale, this one. But with it being such a small brewery, it kind of does feel a little bit raw and kind of old school, which I like. I like that about this beer. So let's break the flavour down a bit more. So, backbone of the beer, you have that fresh brown bready bread crust in there. It's like a wholemeal brown bready bread crust. As you come further forward, there's a little touch of woodiness there. You can feel there's a slight layer of cracker as well. Above that, you have a bit of wholemeal brown bread, then a layer of more white bready character, and then it's a bit more like biscuity, like McVitie's digestive biscuit. The beer does have a wee bit of crispness at the back of the palate as well. So, you know, Pilsner malt, actually, if you told me this was, if I didn't know it was a smash beer, you could tell me there was Pilsner malt in this and I would believe you because of that crispness, particularly toward the back of the palate. It's usually a sign of Pilsner malt. Further forward again though, you've got that little circle in the middle of your palate, so it's McVitie's digestive biscuit, like sweet biscuit underneath. In the dead centre of your palate you have a flavour it's slightly caramelly, but it's a little bit more like Werther's Original, butter candy, butterscotchy. It's kind of like that, and that's the alcohol coming out of the beer. On the back third of your palate you have the yeasty side of the beer. So for me, the yeasty side of this beer, brown bready in the middle, white bready further out, and then a wee bit of a bread crusty note there. But definitely back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller, and as you come further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of squashes together that wee bit more. But yeah, malty yeasty side of this beer is pretty nice. Hoppy side of things then, just going by the bitterness level in this beer, it does have some early edition hop in there. It's not going to blow the head off you in terms of IBU. We'll come back to that a little bit later though, because I'm still trying to make up my mind. But yeah, little touch of earthiness there in the back corners of the palate. As you come further forward, it's very, very slightly herbal. But then yeah, as you push further forward there, you've got a wee bit of floral aromaticity, some nice grassiness around the front curve of the tongue as well, a wee bit of zesty character, and that is something that you would expect from Galaxy a little bit. Let's look at the front third of your palate and that fruity side of things then. So obviously, front third of your palate, you've got the bready base once again, and then you get that nice oily bubble where the fruity esters roll the way out of the beer. So let's look at the fruity side of things. So yeah, for me, fruity side of this beer It's quite, it's kind of what you'd expect in a sense. Like at the back of that front third of your palate, there is a slight hint of grapefruit, which you can get from Galaxy, but not too much. As you move further forward, yeah, more like soft, juicy passion fruit. And then as you reach the middle of the front third of your palate, it's like there's a bit more juicy mango there, but it's like a drier, I think the dry apricot. And there's almost like a kind of sultana, you know, dry white green grapey, oily pear. There's a kind of flavour like that coming out of this one on the front half of the front third of your palate. And there's a wee bit of more like oily pineapple sitting on top of that, I would say. So yeah, the fruity side of this one is kind of what you'd expect from Galaxy, but it has a little bit, it does have a wee bit more that, yeah, peary, sultana type note than I've ever seen from Galaxy. So that could be the yeast that's doing that, because yeast can of course give you some of the fruity flavours. There's something in my head saying to me that this is either USO5 or it could be also like a Norwegian Kveik yeast. Because it has that this beer, the more you drink of it, the more it shows you a very slightly kind of farmhousey, saison-y type character. So that's quite interesting as well. Yeah, it's interesting beer, this one. You know, smash beers, you can do some interesting things with these. You know, if you choose just like American two-row malt or German pale malt or something like this, you put a Kveik yeast in it and you choose one hop, you can still get quite a complex flavour out of these beers, and you know, this beer kind of shows that. But I will say, I don't think it says what yeast it uses, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if this was either Kveik yeast from Norway, from Voss, or a USO5 yeast that's in this. There's just something very familiar about this beer. But it's good, that's the main thing. The whole thing to take away from this is that this beer is nice, it is nice and drinkable. Yeah, mouthfeel wise, what can we say? Mid-bodied, carbonation is quite smooth. It's got a wee bit of like, it's quite wet, but it also has a little bit of that oily thickness to it. I mean, it's not going to be as clean as some of the other beers you'll come across in Japan because it is very small batch brewed. I'll show you the brew kit and stuff later on in the video and you'll see why, but small batch brewed beers like that always have a little bit of this raw, more yeasty character to them. And it's interesting, but IBU wise, I think this beer is maybe about 30-ish, could be 40. So there is a bit of early edition hop going on in this one. The malt base, a bit dry underneath, smooth in the middle, and very slightly sweet on the top. It's more of a dry sweetness, and yeah, the way that goes together is really nice. On the fruity side of things, yeah, more of an oily, wet, juicy, fruity character to this beer. But all in all, very, very interesting beer, this one, and I'm glad that I got the chance to review this one. Something interesting, and as I say, I think we're probably going to do 2 more here at least, because there's 2 really interesting beers I want to try. So this one was simply called Smash, and this is like Garakushi Galaxy. So it's just the Japanification, the Japanization of Galaxy. It's in katakana. So yeah, interesting stuff. Let's leave it at that for this one. I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. Okay guys, right. Let's have a little look at the beer menu then here at Brewpub Tetard Vallee. So we're filming this video for you at the very start of August 2024. Obviously this is a nano brewery, so the beer menu is going to change pretty much, you know, every couple of days or every week or something like this. Very, very frequent changes just because of the scale of the brewing. So yeah, they organise their beers by colour here, and they have 4 of their own beers on tap today when we're visiting. So the first one that they have is the Smash, which is a Galaxy single hop and single malt beer. Then over here they have a Rogen beer, which is a German rye ale. You don't find too many of these even in Germany these days. Then here they have a black saison, which could be quite interesting as well. I think we definitely need to try these 2 for sure, because you don't come across these very often. And then down here, the last of their 4 beers that they have on tap is a spiced goza. So yeah, I've not tried too many Japanese takes on the Goza, in all honesty, so I'm kind of tempted by that too. But then they have a guest beer here, which is from Mino, the Hoppy Weizen, and that's one of their kind of beers that comes out fairly regularly, in all honesty. But yeah, the thing that's kind of crazy about this to Jordan and I is the pricing. So it's so cheap. It's I think too cheap almost, to be honest with you. So 480 yen for a kind of small wine glass sort of thing. Then a glass, I think this next one that's 580 yen is maybe about 350 milliliters, maybe slightly more, something like that. And then the last one at 780 yen is either an American pint or an English pint. We've not actually seen one of these. I think the glasses that I'm seeing look more like British pints actually, so that would be 568 milliliters. If it's an American pint, 473, but these prices are just crazy, you know. That's like £2.50 for the wine glass, maybe about £3 for the middle one, and then the biggest one is like £4 sterling. So yeah, that's going to translate to maybe brain's not working now, you know. It's very, very cheap anyway in terms of euros and US dollars as well. You just add on a little bit. So yeah, I have to say their prices are very, very good here, very reasonable. So you can try quite a few of their beers. They do offer other things too. I'll just let you have a little look at this too. They're doing beer cocktails and things like that. So they've got homemade highballs. I never understand highballs. I really don't like them. But they're very popular in Japan, Hong Kong, the Far East basically. They're very popular. Bitter grapefruit, shandies. They've got some Japanese sake as well. I love my Japanese sake. You can get some whiskey there as well, some Jack Daniels, some Japanese stuff, cocktails, soft drinks, and shochu and things like that as well. They're calling it Japanese vodka. But yeah, so yeah, but this is the main thing, the beer. That's a nice little look at the menu for you here at Brewpub Tetard Vallee. Alright guys, so Tai Chi behind the bar very kindly let us come in and have a little look at the brew room, and he was telling me that there's like, at this particular branch, there are 8 of them who do the brewing, so pretty much everyone that works for the company gets to learn to brew, so that's really cool actually. So over here you can see all their tools, and you know, if you're a brewer or even a plumber, you'll know what these things are. You need all of this. This is quite cool. But yeah, you can see very, very small scale. So yeah, their mash tun is right here, so the mash tun, and then they've got this one here, and they've got one fermenter too, so it's literally 200 litres of beer per batch, and their kegs, some of the kegs just down here at my feet, yeah, they're doing kegs of like 19 litres and 12 litres and stuff like this. So yeah, really cool to come in and just have a little look around. So this is Taichi here, who very kindly let us in, and you know this guy, he's been on the channel many times before. So Taichi, thank you for telling us about the brewery and letting us come in and have a look. That's awesome. So if you're here, buy Taichi a beer because he's awesome. Cheers. Alright guys, so just a little cool thing at the brewery. You can see the brew room obviously is in there, but on the walls they've got all their different awards and things like that here. So you can see they've won quite a few different things across the years. 2021, you know, coming back from 2023 to 2021, bronze prize of the Japanese Craft Beer Association, dark beer, 3rd prize and stuff like this. So yeah, they've got a bunch of these things just up here. So yeah, they've obviously won a lot of awards and things like that. And you can see here they've got all their medals and one of the Japanese characters. I'm not sure who this one is. But yeah, pretty cool I have to say. I like this when the breweries show all their awards and stuff, so just a little cool filler there. Alright guys, so Taishi actually gave us this kind of fact sheet about the company. So it turns out that Brewpub Tetard Vallee is actually part of a kind of group of nano breweries and pubs and things like this, which is kind of cool. So this particular branch, Tetard Vallee in Tanimachi, they started about 7 years ago, and they've always brewed their own beers. So the name obviously is French, which makes you think Belgian beer, but you know, apparently their approach to brewing beer is kind of like they say, oh, we want to have a blonde beer, we want to have a brown beer and a black beer and stuff like this. Do we want to do Belgian this time, German, Czech, whatever? And then they go from there. But they're also thinking about, you know, food pairings and stuff like this as well. So it's quite an interesting approach, and you know, pretty much everybody that's involved in the company gets a chance to brew their own beer. So yeah, it's quite different and it's very unique, but very cool at the same time. So yeah, from what I understand, Tetard Vallee was their kind of first venue. They also have this little pub here, 10-6 Attack. So yeah, but then the other one that he recommended to us was this one here, Brewpub Centrepoint, which is supposed to be quite close by actually. So I think at some point, maybe on Jordan's next visit, we can go and do an out and about video there as well and check that one out. So I think that'll be quite fun actually. I don't know if the two premises kind of swap beer and things like that, you know, one keg from here goes up there or whatever. Maybe that happens. So if we go a little bit later, we're probably going to get some different beers, I would say. But yeah, that's a little overview of the company as well. So another interesting little point for you. So yeah guys, this is the little area where they pour all the different beers. So yeah, they've got the Smash at the top, then the Rogan beer, the Black Saison, the Goza, and then these bottom three are beer cocktails using the Smash beer. So yeah, it's quite an interesting tap setup. I've never seen anything quite like that before. So yeah, you always find interesting things in Japan, that's for sure. Right guys, well, time for tasting number 2 then here at Brewpub Tetard Vallee. So the second beer that we're going to have a look at is the Rogan beer. Now, this is a style that you don't find all that often anymore, even in Germany in my experience. But it originates in Bavaria, Bayern, in the south. And I was looking to see online whether it was from a specific town, you know, if there was one specific town that was famous for this beer style, but I couldn't really find that information. But apparently, this style of beer is very commonly brewed using a Hefeweizen yeast, and that is something I did not know. So yeah, that's quite interesting. But anyway, this beer comes in at 5% ABV. You can see it's got this lovely sort of coppery type colour. When it came out, it had a lovely, maybe 2/3 finger of a sort of fawn creamy coloured head to it. Not too much in the way of visible carbonation with this one, but it's got a lovely kind of natural haze to it as well, which I think is great. So yeah, in terms of what I would expect appearance-wise from a rye beer, not really a great surprise to be honest. If you think about it, the most common rye beers you're going to find these days are probably like red rye ales, rye IPAs. You know, the Finns, of course, they drink a lot of sati, which is rye and juniper. Yeah, you do. I've had 1 or 2 rye wines on the channel as well, which is a barley wine with about 30% or 40% rye added into the malt base. But yeah, say this should be quite interesting, this one. Let's have a little look at the nose and see what it's all about. Ooh, again, with this one, it has that lovely sort of small batch rawness to it. You often find this in like very small kind of nano brewery bars and things like this. The way that this goes together is quite interesting. But yeah, very, very malty leaning beer, this one. I should point out as well, even though this is a German style of beer, it's not a lager. This is an ale. So remember, the difference is that lagers use bottom fermenting yeast, lower temperature fermentation, 8 to 12 degrees Celsius, whereas the ales use a top fermenting yeast, usually about 16 degrees Celsius for those to ferment. So this is a German ale, not a lager. So yeah. For me, the nose on this one is kind of what you'd expect. You've got a lovely little bit of, oh, our sausage has just arrived. This looks good, I'll show you this in a little second. So yeah, I'll just show you this now, thank you. Arigato gozaimashita. So yeah, we've got our big sausage here, look at this. You'll see that more in a second. But yeah, where was I with this one? I forgot. Yeah, the aroma, right. Got distracted by the sausage, it happens. Yeah. Backbone of the beer, you've got that lovely kind of You can smell a lovely little bit of like fresh rye bready bread crust in there. You've got sweet wholemeal brown bread. I have to admit, I did love German rye bread. I loved the German bakeries when I lived in Heidelberg. So yeah, you've got the bread crust, the brown bread. There's a little bit of woodiness, of course. There's a wee bit of cracker. Definitely a little slight touch of nuttiness, but I will point out that's very, very slight. Yeah. On top of that, you have got a fair little bit of brown sugar in this one, a wee bit of like toasty caramel, a little bit of like biscuit as well, a sweeter caramel too. Yeah, it's basically a mix of brown bread and caramel, the malty backbone of this one. I think that's definitely fair to say. Yeah, you have a little bit of. I might just pause a second. Alright guys, yeah, I just paused a second because there was quite a big group right next to us. I didn't realise they were together actually, but they all just left at once. So yeah, yeah, as I say, I think we've covered the malty side of the beer. The yeasty side of this one is obviously quite kind of brown bready and stuff like this, and yeah, the yeasty side of this one, a bit more brown bready, bit of white bread in there, wee bit of bread crust of course. Hoppy side of this one, there's not too much hoppiness to this beer, but to be honest, you wouldn't expect that. It's more like German and Noble, I would say. It's probably Hallertauer, Tettnang hops that are in this one. So yeah, you've got a lovely little bit of like light earthiness, very slight floral character, but mainly quite grassy, I would say. Mostly grassy. Because of the way the hops interact with the malt in this beer, you've got quite a lot of fruitiness as well. Like there's a little slight figgy note to this one, maybe a very, very slight black currant or something as well. But you are obviously getting things like oily pear, little bits of gooseberry, stuff like that too. I wonder, could it be Northern Brewer that's in here? It's quite a popular hop to use with the likes of Doppelbock and Dunkels because it has that more brown malt base and it interacts well with the sweeter side of things. But yeah, the aroma, this one's pretty nice actually, nice and big brown bready and a little bit of fruit. I think it's about time that we taste this one then and see what it's all about. So let's try this. This is Rogan beer. 5.1%, 5% ABV exactly, isn't it? Yeah, 5% ABV. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, cheers, prost, kampai, whatever we're going to say. Ooh. It has a little bit of like sharpness to it when you first take it in, but I think once your palate adjusts to this, it's quite once your palate adjusts to this, it really shows you that more kind of brown bready malty side of things that you would expect. Yeah, it is kind of what I would expect in all honesty. I think the fruit on this one is a little bit sharper than you might expect, so maybe a teeny little bit of oxidation in this one, maybe. But yeah, it could be the yeast in this one as well that will do that. Yeah, so backbone of the beer for me, sort of mix of rye and wholemeal brown bready bread crust in there. On top of that, you get the rye bready layer, of course. A bit further forward, you can get little hints of like wood. There's a little bit of a woody base in there, wee bit of cracker. Then yeah, the rye bread, the wholemeal brown bread, and above that you're getting the sort of toasty, brown sugary character coming out of this one. So yeah, toasty brown sugar for me. A little bit of a sweeter caramel in the middle of the palate there. And as I say, there's a little slight nuttiness comes out of this beer into the aftertaste too, so that's quite interesting. Yeah, for me, I think that's everything to say about the middle third of your palate. If you go further back, of course, you're getting all the bready flavour. It's just a little bit drier, maybe a little touch bitter. Remember, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. On top of that, you have more of you've got more, you can feel the yeasty character in this one. So there's a wee bit of like a rye bready, yeasty character to this one. So that it's like sweet rye bread in the middle, a more sweet wholemeal brown bread around the edge, and then a little bit of kind of bread crusty character around the edge of that there. And again, flavour is taller on the back third of your palate. Further forward as you move, further forward it condenses down a wee bit. On the hoppy side of things, you've got a little slight touch of earthiness in there, more of a herbal character as you come further forward. And then yeah, you have that little bit of like floral aromaticity and some nice grassiness there around the front curve of the tongue. Quite a wet grassiness. I would say the green component in this one is dominated by the grassy side of things, definitely. Front third of your palate, then you get that lovely oily bubble where the fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. The base is the brown bready bread crust, the wholemeal brown bread, and then yeah, above that, yeah, you get that oily bubble with the fruity esters. So the fruity side of this beer for me, it has got a little bit of sharpness when you take it in. As I say, I think there's been a very slight oxidation with this one, which is going to happen when you're brewing on the small scale. It will happen. But yeah, you have, to me, there's a little bit of blackcurranty note to this one. Definitely some fig. The fig is in the middle of that front third of your palate. The blackcurrant is further forward, but further back from that, you're getting more of like an oily pear and a sort of you're getting an oily pear and a sort of you're getting a sort of like sultana type note, like dry white green grapes, something like that. So yeah, a bit of oily pear and a bit of sultana for sure. Yeah, I think that's everything we can really say about the flavour, to be honest, in this one. It's maybe not quite as sweet as you're going to get from some of the German examples of this style, from what I remember. But it's certainly got the right flavour profile. Say that, it's showing you all the types of flavours, but it's just a little bit lighter. And one thing you will often find with Japanese beer is it has the right flavour, but it's just lighter and more drinkable. I mean, to many Japanese, craft beer is not as big in Japan as it is in other places. It's still growing, of course, but the knowledge of craft beer just isn't quite as it is in other places. And there is like an overarching view in Japan that beer should be light and drinkable. So the way this beer is with its mouthfeel kind of makes sense. So yeah, for me, this beer, it's like bottom end of mid-bodied. You do get a little touch of carbonation out of this one, but not much. It smoothens the beer out. It's kind of clean, slightly wet. The IBU count in this one's very low. It's got to be 15 or 20 IBUs, very, very low. The malt base is a bit of dryness underneath, smoothness in the middle, and a drier sweetness on top. And then yeah, you've got that little bit of juicy, fruity character at the front of the palate too. But all in all, a really interesting beer, this one, and quite enjoyable, I have to say. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. As I say, there's one more beer we're going to try. I'm pretty sure maybe we'll do the fourth one. We'll see how we feel. I'll catch you guys in a second with something else. Cheers. Okay guys, let's have a little look at the food menu then here at Tetard Vallee. So my Japanese is a little bit elementary. I could read this because most of it is katakana, but it would be very slow. So Jordan has very kindly offered to talk about the menu for the video. So he's going to do that now. I'll zoom in and show you guys.
Right. Well, for the starter food menu, first we have the in-house pate. Next is the homemade pickles, and next we have a carrot salad, and a marinated chicken dish. Beer marinated chicken dish. Sounds interesting. Next we have the prosciutto ham, cured ham. Next is mixed nuts and baguette, and grilled sausage, onion rings, and French fries. And then for the dessert menu, we have the gâteau au chocolat, the Basque cheesecake. Alright. And the last is dark beer. Affogato. Dark beer affogato. Oh. Sounds delicious.
Yeah. So, quite an interesting menu here at Tetard Vallee. Pretty much like beer finger food almost, and very reasonably priced once again. You know, 500 yen is maybe about £2.50 sterling, maybe €3, $3.50 American, something like that. So prices are very, very good here. I think we can say that for sure. But yeah, that's your menu here at Brewpub Tetard Vallee, and this will of course change a little bit because they brew the beers to match the food and things like that. So it might be a bit different when you come here, but there you go. So yeah guys, as you saw during the last tasting, my sausage arrived, and you know, this is just typical Japanese food presentation. Does that not look great? That looks awesome. Yeah, it's like Michelin star presentation, you have to say that. Awesome stuff. Alright guys, well you saw the sausage a second ago, and I was debating whether I need to really do a tasting section for the sausage, but then Jordan and I were talking and I realised I don't think I've ever shown on the channel that I can use chopsticks, and one thing that will happen in Japan is that if you can use chopsticks quite well, the Japanese will compliment you on that if you're a gaijin. So yeah, that's how it goes. So here we go. I'll pick up my big sausage with my chopsticks, and you can see, you can all look in awe, but look at that, that's so well cooked. So let's see what the sausage is like. That's good. Yeah. You find things like this in Japan, like they learned, you know, the quality of the meat in Japan is great. You get great beef, you get great pork, you get great chicken. It's very, very like regional. Like Okinawa, for example, is famous for pork. Awaji Island, which is Kobe Prefecture, Hyogo Prefecture, I'm sorry, across the water from Kobe. That's where the beef comes from. I think Saga is famous for its beef, and Miyazaki as well. I don't know where's really famous for chicken right enough, but yeah, different regions are famous for different things. Nagoya, famous for chicken apparently. But that's a lovely sausage, good for me, like really juicy, just beautiful stuff. And as I say, beautifully cooked and beautifully presented. You can't ask for much more for good beer food. So try some of the stuff on the menu here at Tetard Vallee. We'll probably try something else a little bit later, I would think. Cheers. So yeah, another little random thing for you here at Tetard Vallee. They have the brewing process explained in Japanese with SpongeBob SquarePants. I have to say, pretty cool. Okay guys, well time for tasting number 3 then here at Tetard Vallee. So yeah, we've just been working our way from lighter to dark, which is really what you should do with beer tasting. But beer number 3 is a style you really don't come across all that often. So this one is a Black Saison, 4.7% ABV, and the name is Yosuzumi Saison. So, Yosuzumi Saison.
So Yosuzumi is it literally means night. It literally means night cool down. So the image is after a hot summer's day, when the temperature drops a little in the evening and it becomes comfortable, and that's when you get together with friends and have a relaxing time in that cooler evening.
And it's something that's interesting too, because I have noticed that like black beer is getting more popular in Japan. Like Asahi have their black now.
That's true.
And you know, these more like Hefeweizens and Saisons, these more like farmhousey, yeasty beers are actually quite popular in Japan. So
This year,
yeah,
it's suddenly my local brewery as well. Almost all of the breweries have a farmhouse ale now. 2 years ago, I'd never even heard of it.
yeah. It's we maybe 2-3 years ago in Sweden. You know, there was lots in Europe. Voss, Kvik, IPAs and stuff like this became very popular. And more breweries now are brewing like saisons and sour beers, farmhouse beers basically. But yeah, I haven't reviewed on the channel. I mean, obviously there's 4,000 odd videos now, and funnily enough, the only black saison I can think of that I've reviewed, the only one that comes to mind is actually from Shigakogen beer, and it was one of their barrels. It was one of their bigger releases. It was like an imperial black saison. So it was, and obviously with Shigakogen there was no question that it was very good, because it was. They're awesome. But Yeah, no, I don't think I've had this beer style from many other countries. Like black saisons are very unusual. Well, maybe I had one from Canada. Maybe maybe Judicile in Montreal, in Quebec. So yeah, but yeah, interesting anyway. You can see that the beer has poured a lovely sort of dark ebony rosewood colour there. It does have a wee bit of a kind of chestnutty coloured edge to it, and when it came out, it had like a 2/3 finger of a frothy, I would say kind of like fawn coloured head. Obviously that's faded away because we've been chatting stuff and figuring out getting the camera and the microphone all set up and things, but yeah, not too much in the way of visible carbonation, but I think that is potentially because yeah, it's just a dark beer. So we'll have a little look at the nose then.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I was just doing it.
So what do you think? First impression?
Well, we just mentioned farmhouse ale a minute ago, but I am getting that very. The first thing that hits me is that kind of a spicy, raw, yeasty smell. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It does smell very. It smells very much on point, actually. For me, it actually reminds me of some of the. It has that nice, very smooth saison. You know, one of the best saisons I've had in Japan, incidentally, is from Kyoto Brewing. Those guys are very good.
Yes.
Those guys are very good in that saison thing. And this actually has it smells very similar to theirs, but obviously you've got a little bit of this, you know, checked Mavi German Schwarzbier type note to this one, this roasty toasty element to it. But it's not too aggressive.
No, true.
So for me, the backbone of this beer, you got toasty, slightly well fired but not too aggressively dry bread crusts. Little touch of sweet rye bread, but mostly a sweet wholemeal brown bread, I think.
I'm getting the rye too.
Cracker, definitely. Like Jacob's cream cracker. Do you get that in Canada?
No.
Ah, okay.
No. Maybe. I've been in Japan a long time.
Yeah. I couldn't think, I always say Jacob's cream cracker. I'm not sure how relatable that descriptor is for a lot of people. Like a dry cracker.
Is it one of those, like...
You put butter and cheese and stuff on it. It's
Oh,
like
okay,
that,
it's a kind of carb you put stuff on. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
very light wheat kind of flavor.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. We did something like that.
So yeah, sweet bread. I want to say there is a bit of brown sugar to this.
I'm not getting much.
I think toast, for me, a bit of it's a toasty kind of dry brown sugary note that comes out of this. Toasty, slightly dry brown sugar, maybe very slightly leathery. Usually when you get leathery brown sugars, that's a sign of a longer wort boil, but in saisons you don't really do that, as far as I know. Wee touch of nuttiness, maybe. Yeah, a little touch of nuttiness, I would say. A little bit of sweet brown sugar. I don't think chocolate in this one. Like a lot of people say chocolate in like black beers, but definitely not chocolate in this.
I'm not getting any chocolate or coffee.
I think brown sugar, like a dry, toasty brown sugar.
Very dry though. For the brown sugar side.
Yeah. There is quite a lot of yeastiness to this one, and it's the yeastiness at the back of the nose. It's like a sweet wholemeal brown bready sort of thing. A little bit of sweet oily rye bread as well. And it's a wee bit nutty and crackery and stuff like that too. Is there anything else we can really say about the malty, yeasty side of the beer?
No, not really.
It's actually quite pleasant though, I will say that. It actually reminds me a lot. As I say, black saison is a bit of an unusual style, generally speaking. You don't find them that much. But it very much, this one really reminds me of the checked Mavis, the checked black lagers.
Oh, okay.
It really reminds me of some of those that I had in Olomouc and Prague and Brno and stuff like this. So yeah, hoppy side of this beer, you've got your typical little bit of earthiness, little bit of herbal and kind of grassy character. Belgian hops are a little bit more earthy and herbal, I think, than German hops are. But it has quite a noble character to it as well. You do get a fair wee bit of floral and grassy note out of this the more you smell of it. Fruity wise, pear, sultana, but a red fruity note. It's got blackcurrant for sure, and I think we're going to get maybe a little sharper note out of this as well when we actually take it in. Just judging by the aroma, it's got a little bit of that. There is a blackcurranty, raisiny, sharper note to this one, I think.
Yeah, I'm getting the raisiny kind of.
The raisiny notes in the top of the nose for sure. Yeah. All right. Anything else to say about the aroma?
No, I'd really like to taste it.
Let's go for it then. Kampai. Thank you to Jordan for joining for this one again, and we will do some more out and about videos, I'm sure. Cheers. Ooh. Now I'm going to say, my first impression of this one, it's actually a lot roastier, toastier and drier than the aroma makes you think it's going to be.
It doesn't taste like how it smells.
It has got more, I think this has got straight up like roasted malt in this one, black barley, black malt, I think. It mellows out for sure, definitely mellows out, but it is actually a lot more, there's a lot more bitterness to this one. If you think of like a robust porter, probably has a little bit of that kind of vibe to it. And interestingly, they've got two bottles you can take away. One is a pale ale and the other one's a robust porter. So maybe with their black beers, they like that bit more bitterness to them rather than sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, this has more bitterness than I expected.
Yeah, definitely. But it is good.
Yeah. I'm getting a bit kind of black coffee bitterness to it, which I didn't expect to smell.
Yeah. For me, it's more like, I would say, roasty bread crust, like well-fired bread crust.
Sure.
Yeah, I would go for that.
There's definitely something roasty.
Yeah. So for me, backbone of the beer is that roasty, toasty, well-fired bread crust. As you move further forward on the palate, it becomes, you get a little bit more woodiness out of it, and it mellows out to a degree. So you've got a layer of rye bread above that, sure. Then a more wholemeal brown bread up there. And it's quite a dry brown bread in this one actually. It's not quite as sweet. The aroma gives you the impression that this beer is going to be quite sweet
much
bread.
drier than I expected.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, very sort of sweet rye bread in this one. Mm-hmm. And you've also just got that little bit of, you do almost just have that little bit of, I would say, there's a bit of like a dry toast, well-fired brown sugar to this beer as well. So roasty, toasty, well-fired brown sugar. There's a little bit of a more, you've got a circle in the middle of your palate there, so it's a little bit more leathery brown sugar in this one too. And then you do get a little bit of a sweet caramel in the dead centre of your palate, but then the beer dries out into the aftertaste for sure. So yeah, you've got the brown bread, the toasty brown sugar in there, the more leathery caramelly note, the sweeter caramel, and then but you feel the black malty roastiness pushing its way up your palate this one. But
the aftertaste is very dry and not sweet at all.
But I would just say those flavours we just talked about, that is only the middle third of your palate with this one. The back third of your palate is really like more sweet bready. So like at the back of your palate, you do get a bit of that well-fired bread crust, but you've got the rye bread is a little bit thicker and sweeter. Brown bread above that is a little bit thicker and again sweeter. And then above all of that, you start to get the yeasty side of the beer. So for me, the yeasty side of this beer, again, it's like a sweet brown bread, really, isn't it? I'd say like the yeasty character for me comes out on the back, the top of the back third of your palate. So it's like a sweet brown bread with a bit of a toasted bread, crusty character surrounding it. I'd go for that. I would say that.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. The hoppy side of things. earthy, herbal. The earthiness actually builds into the aftertaste too. The hops are giving this beer some bitterness as well as the malt. As you move further forward, you get a little touch of floral character, then a more wet grassiness around the front curve of the tongue there. So yeah, that is nice. Noble hops, or Belgian hops in this one, I think. I want to say German Hallertau or 10. I think that's most likely in this beer, just knowing what I know about Japanese beer and how it started. I want to say German noble hops. This one, Hallertau Mittelfrüh, most likely.
That's a very good guess.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah. But yeah, the fruity side of this beer is actually not as fruity as the aroma would have you believe either. So the fruity part of the beer comes out on the front third of your palate. You get that nice oily bubble. What fruits would you say come out of this one?
A lot, man. Just I'm getting a bit of the green grape, or what should you say, sultana? A little bit.
The dry, yeah. Oh, sultana, yeah. Dry white green grapes, yeah.
Yeah. A little pear.
I'd agree, yeah.
But really, it's not very fruity.
I get like on top of those two, I get just a little bit of like blackcurrant. It has got a wee red. It has got a wee bit of red fruity element to it. This one for sure. Yeah, it does. It really does have a wee bit of a red fruity element to it as well. I would say, and that's really nice. I have to say, I do really like that. I'd say maybe like the white green grape gooseberry sultana type thing is kind of toward the back. The sultana type flavour is kind of toward the back of that front third of your palate, and then the pear comes out a bit more in the middle, I would say. And then yeah, you've got this more black curranty type character coming out of this one too. Yeah, but as I say, into the aftertaste, you get more of the roasty, well-fired bread crust. You get more of the brown bread, the sweeter side of the brown bread as well, I would say, and a little bit of nuttiness. I think nuttiness, yeah. Anything else you would say about the flavour of this one?
Well, the sort of dry bitterness and subdued sweetness really reminds me of I'm jumping over to wine, but it's like it has that very that tanniny kind of flavor for me, like
I can see that, yeah.
Grape skin kind of that tanniny. You say shibui in Japanese, like kind of dry bitter flavor.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting a lot of that.
I can agree. I can see why you would say that. Yeah, for sure. So we'll round off then with mouthfeel. Again, it has this Japanese saisons. Maybe should be a little bit thicker than this. This is showing that very it's showing that very Japanese trait where beer is light and drinkable. It's showing that. I mean, at 4.7% ABV, most saisons I think tend to be at least 5.5 or 6 at the lower end, and of course the saison is a style that you can take it up quite far without it feeling boozy, in honesty. So yeah, 4.7, especially for a black saison actually, because usually brewers like to do that one that I mentioned from Shigakon was Imperial Black Saison, so that was a big 9-10%, 11% black. So yeah, that could account for some of the lightness that this beer has. So yeah, it's light, drinkable, I'd say right in the middle of the spectrum, like mid-bodied. Little bit of crispness out of the carbonation in this one, which is quite interesting. IBU count, I want to say this one's about 50, maybe 60 IBUs. Quite a malty, quite a malty, roasty bitterness. Bit of toastiness in the malt base, toastiness underneath, smoothness in the middle, and a bit of a drier sweetness on top. As I say, a little touch of hoppy bitterness and then a wee bit of a fruity character in this one, a little bit of an oily, sweet fruitiness. But all in all, a really nice, enjoyable beer actually. Yeah, I like this one. Yeah, and quite a novelty as well, because you're not going to find these too often. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for this one. All right. catch you guys. We might do one more, but we'll see. We'll catch you guys in just a sec. Cheers. So yeah, guys, you can get takeaway here at Tetard Vallee, and these are the two beers that you can you get a pale ale or you can get a robust porter, but they are of course under the label of the parent company, Brewpub Standard. But yeah, still pretty cool. Alright guys, so one of the things we noticed earlier with the menu that we showed you was that it had a time on it. It was like 2 p.m. until 5 p.m, something like this. But yeah, they very kindly let us have a little look at the dinner menu in this before we left, and I think it's just about to change to the dinner menu, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, you can see here Brewpub Tetard Vallee, and down here this beer looks amazing. Wonder if it's the smash, maybe not. But yeah, you can see on the front page they show you the brewing process and the ingredients and stuff, which is pretty cool, I have to say. But yeah, when you come over here, you have all the different things you can match. So you know, they've got onion rings, they've got different kinds of meats, different sausages, and desserts and stuff like this. So yeah, it shows you your different starters that you can have, and again, the prices are very, very reasonable here. Then yeah, you've got different kinds of salad and things, one with prosciutto ham. This one looks like it's different beans and things actually. And then up here they have the meat chunk, and we got a little bit of a laugh because over here, just to my right, on this board, it says the recommended food is meat chunk. So yeah, we were very curious about this. But you know, you can't go wrong. Beer and big chunks of meat. You can't go wrong with that. But yeah, you can get your sausages. You can get. I think this looks like some sort of cabbage here. It's one of the cabbage things. Yeah. You've got some fried foods. You've got your onion rings, your karaage, fried chicken. Karaage is a staple in Japan, I would say. And yeah, this one here, I'm not sure what that is actually. Is it shrimps?
Potato fries.
Potato fries.
No, that's not this though.
That's not this. That's not that.
Fish. This is fish and chips.
Oh, fish and chips. Ah, okay, right. And then on the back, yeah, you have your different desserts and things like that. So yeah, you've got your mint chocolate, your kind of cheesecake, and this one here looks like it's biru no affogato. That's it. Yeah, biru affogato. Yeah. So quite a nice menu, and of course here, this is the evening alcohol one. So you've got your different kinds of beer, your Japanese sake, your nihonshu, your shochu, which I will be honest with you is lethal, some cocktails and things like that down here. And then yeah, these are the main beers that they have. So obviously you've got your different colours and things like this, and they tell you the different sizes up here. So yeah, it's basically a more kind of posh version of the kind of lunchtime or daytime menu. And then here you have the two takeaway beers that I mentioned earlier. You've got the pale ale and the robust porter. So yeah, that's your a little look at the evening menu here at Brewpub Tetard Vallee. There we go. Alright guys, well that is the end of our time then here at Brewpub Tetard Vallee in Tanimachi in Osaka. So yeah, really nice place.
It really was. So we were just talking to the owner, well not the owner, well one of the head brewers, and what they're going for here, they're trying to create a community. They're trying to create a local community where the local people in the area can come in for a beer at a reasonable price. And because the thing is, in Japan, we don't really have an established craft beer culture. It's very much a niche culture, and most people are just, they have no idea.
Oh yeah, because I mean, we had 3 beers each, the sausage, and those beers were like 350 milliliters, so about the same size as like a Japanese can or bottle of craft beer, and it came to less than 6,000 yen, which is like £30 sterling. 33 euros, like $35 American, something like that. So for what we had, that is so cheap. And we were saying to him, even if you add another 100 yen onto the beer prices, it's still very, very reasonable.
But yeah, he said like their owner that the goal isn't to make as much money as they can. The goal is to create a local community. So yeah.
But
best of luck to them for that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's quite cool as well to find out that this is part of a kind of not a chain, but like a parent company where they've got another thing. So we need to go and check out their other location at Centre Point, I think, the next time Jordan makes it down. But Tai Chi looked after us very, very well. I didn't catch the other guy's name, and the girl, I didn't catch her name either, but the staff were lovely, and we had a great time filming this video. So yeah, definitely cool to have Jordan on the channel again. So I get this right this time. Jordan, outsider, inside Japan. I've messed that up, haven't I?
Inside outsider.
Inside outsider
In Japan.
Yes.
Yes.
Make sure you check out Jordan's channel, kind of cultural videos about his local area and other places that he travels. And yeah, I'm sure Jordan's been on a live stream and one or two of the out and about videos now. We're going to do something in Nagoya quite soon, hopefully, and also in Ise as well. We're going to film there. Yeah. So yeah, cool to have him on the channel again. I'll put his links in the description below. Check those out, show him some love, and I'll catch you guys again very soon. But if you find yourself in Osaka, you can come along to Tetard Vallee. You're actually very close to Osaka Castle, which is quite a big tourist spot, so I would recommend that. But yeah, thank you again for watching. Check out my social media, check out Jordan's social media, check out Tetard Vallee's social media as well, and I'll catch you guys again very, very soon. Ciao just now.